This girl sneaks into a lion's den and gets brutally killed. Imagine standing face to face with a 500-pound African lion. Feel the ground tremble beneath its powerful paws, hear the low grumble of its growl, and see the glint in its eyes as it watches you. What would drive someone to get so close to such a magnificent yet deadly creature? What could go wrong in a place designed to keep both humans and animals safe? And how could a young woman's passion for big cats lead to a horrifying and tragic end? These are the questions that echo through the story of Diana Hansen, whose love for big cats led her down a path that ended in a terrifying encounter. In the heart of California, a story unfolded that would send shockwaves around the world. A story of passion, mistakes, and a deadly game that went horribly wrong. A story that reminds us of the raw power that nature possesses. This is the story of Diana Hansen, a young intern at Cat Haven, and her fatal encounter with Couscous, a lion she thought she knew. Diana's love for big cats was more than just a fascination, it was a calling. From the age of 3, she was drawn to lions, tigers, cheetahs, and leopards. Her dream was to work with these incredible animals, and that dream came true when she became an intern at Cat Haven. Her days were filled with joy as she sang songs about each animal, shared photos on social media, and even brought her family and boyfriend to meet the majestic creatures she cared for. But behind the smiles and the laughter, a storm was brewing. One morning, Diana's boyfriend was visiting from Italy, and she wanted to show him the world that she loved. Perhaps she wanted to impress him, or maybe she just wanted to share her passion. But that morning, something went terribly wrong. Diana entered the lion's den, a place she knew she shouldn't be alone. And in that moment, a series of mistakes began to unfold, leading to a terrifying attack that would change everything. The sun was shining, casting a golden glow over Cat Haven. The air was filled with the sounds of the wild, the distant roars of lions, the chuffing of tigers, and the rustling of leaves as a gentle breeze swept through the sanctuary. It was a beautiful day, a day like any other, but it was a day that would be etched in infamy. Diana was in the enclosure, her hands busy sweeping the floor, her mind lost in thought. She was chatting with a colleague over the radio, laughing at a joke, her voice filled with joy that always accompanied her work. The big cats were her family, and she felt at home among them. But she wasn't alone. Couscous, the lion, was watching her, his eyes filled with curiosity. His massive head tilted to one side, his ears perked up, he observed her every move. To him, she was an intriguing presence, a part of his world that he couldn't quite understand. The gate between them was not securely fastened. Perhaps it was a mistake, a momentary lapse in judgment, or maybe it was fate. Slowly, almost playfully, Couscous nudged it open. His movements were graceful, his intentions unclear. Was he playing a game? Was he exploring? Only he knew. Diana was unaware, her back turned, her mind on her work, her heart filled with love for the creatures she cared for. The world around her was alive with the beauty of nature, but she was oblivious to the danger that was inching closer to her. And then, in a heartbeat, everything changed. Couscous leapt, his powerful muscles propelling him forward, his eyes locked on Diana. His paw, armed with razor-sharp claws, swiped at her head, the force of the blow unimaginable. The sound was a sickening thud, a sound that would haunt those that heard it. Diana's neck snapped instantly. There was no scream, no struggle, just a sudden, horrifying end. Her body crumpled to the ground, lifeless, her dreams and passions extinguished in an instant. Couscous stood over her, his eyes wide, his breath heavy. Was he confused? Was he scared? Did he understand what he had done? We may never know. Diana hadn't seen it coming. She hadn't felt any pain. One moment she was alive, filled with the joy of life, and the next, she was gone. Her story, her love, her tragic end a stark reminder of the fine line that separates us from the wild. The sanctuary fell into silence, a silence that spoke of loss, of tragedy, of a love that had crossed the boundaries of nature. It was a silence that would linger long after the day had passed, a silence that would forever be part of Cat Haven, a haunting memory of a life lost and a big lesson learned. The story of Diana and Couscous is a story of passion, but also peril, a story that challenges us to reflect on our relationship with the wild, to respect the power and unpredictability of nature, and to recognize that no matter how close we may feel to these magnificent creatures, they are and always will be wild at heart. In the aftermath of the attack, the sanctuary transformed from a place of peace and tranquility into a scene of chaos and confusion. The air, once filled with the sounds of the wild, was now pierced by the wailing of sirens as emergency services rushed to the scene. Attempts were made to lure Couscous away from Diana's body, but the lion, once playful and curious, had become aggressive and unpredictable. His eyes, which had once held a spark of curiosity, were now filled with fear and confusion. His roars echoed through the sanctuary, a chilling reminder of the raw power and the unpredictability of the wild. The situation escalated quickly. Every attempt to distract Couscous was met with increased aggression. The sanctuary staff, who had once cared and nurtured for Couscous, now found themselves in a desperate struggle to control him, but their efforts were in vain. Less than 30 minutes after Diana had entered the enclosure, a shot rang out. Couscous, the lion who had been a part of the sanctuary family, lay lifeless next to Diana. The enclosure, once a place of life and activity, was now a scene of death and despair. The investigation that followed revealed a tragic series of mistakes. Diana, in her enthusiasm and love for the big cats, had been distracted and failed to secure the gate. A simple oversight, a momentary lapse in judgment that had led to a deadly consequence. Couscous, for his part, had acted on instinct. He had seen an opportunity for play, for interaction, but his raw power and natural instincts proved deadly. There were no scratches on Diana's body, no signs of a mauling, just a broken neck from one swipe of his powerful paw. The findings of the investigation were a stark reminder of the dangers of forgetting that these beautiful creatures are, at their core, wild animals. They served as a painful lesson that even in a sanctuary, where animals are cared for and protected, the line between safety and danger can be crossed in an instant. Diana's story and the tragic end she met is a reminder of the respect and caution that must be exercised when dealing with wild animals. It's a reminder that no matter how well we think we know these creatures, no matter how much we love them, they are and always will be wild at heart. Diana's story is a haunting reminder of the fine line between admiration and danger. Her passion for big cats, her youthful enthusiasm, and a momentary lapse in judgment led to a horrifying incident that will forever be part of her legacy. Her family found some comfort in knowing that she died doing what she loved, but questions remained. What could have been done to prevent the tragedy? How does this change our perception of wildlife parks and sanctuaries? And what lessons can we learn from Diana's choices? The story of Diana Hansen is more than a cautionary tale. It's a wake-up call too. A call to totally respect the wild nature of these beautiful creatures and to recognize the risks that come with crossing the line between fascination and safety. It's a story that challenges us to think, to reflect, and to remember that no matter how well we think we know these majestic creatures, they are wild at heart.